Hello? Hello? Are you there?
Am I going to have to read this aloud to make it intellectually intelligible and impactful? Will you find this entertaining enough to be worthy of your time? Do I need to resurrect the spirit of Steve Jobs to deliver a message of truth to the consumer market? Or turn this into a parable and reference lines of biblical scripture? Do I need to conjure an apocalyptic sci-fi thriller and cast Harry Potter, Drew Barrymore, Tommy Lee Jones, Morgan Freeman, and Will Smith? Maybe if Jonathan Windell would just throw me a nickel, I could get the technology community to ingest a deeper gulp. No, something of this magnitude demands I get a PhD from Harvard, Stanford, or MIT to provide a testimonial reference. Now that would satisfy intellectual credibility. Then this might have potential to contemplate more deeply. It even might go viral for the right reasons at the right time because there's no other way.
Pandemic, COVID-19, China,
Bats, biowarfare, naturally occurring. They started it. You started it. Invisible enemy. Wear mask. No mask. The virus is not a risk. No, it's going to kill more than the 1918 influenza. Stay at home. Social distance. Make America great. We are great, not great enough. Democracy, citizenship, education, lack of education, intelligence, ignorance, capitalism, consumerism, socialism, communism, growth and advancement, industrial and technological revolution, communications, telecommunications, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, wealth, power, influence, essential workers, non-essential business, U.S. unemployment, 14.7 million, the death of George Floyd, riots, civil unrest, anger, violence, hopelessness, American political polarization and discord from 1684 through 2020. You might be thinking, hey, there's a typo. 1684, you must have meant 1984 with Ronald Reagan. His just say no and the war on drugs and 3 strikes you're out policy, or 1984 Orwellian. No, I really meant 1684 as a reference to Isabella, but that's a little cloudy for me, as it's also reported that the first British slave ship to reach the Americas was called Good Jesus. Sir John Hawkins, a cousin of Sir Francis Drake, was the captain. He was religious. He had 2 services a day and insisted his crew serve God daily and love one another. He left England for Africa in 1562 and arrived at Sierra Leone and took possession of 300 Africans, some by sword and some by other means, such as promising free land and riches. It says that he returned to England, possessing mass riches and ivory, gold, hides, and sugar. Queen Elizabeth became aware of how he received his riches and was detested, stating that actions would call down vengeance from the heavens upon the undertakers. Now I have no idea what the present British Queen's position is on such matters now, but what I do know is that her grandchild just married an American black woman and is now living in Los Angeles, California, and her grandchildren will likely be American citizens. This may shed some light, but it could go either way as far as I know. I don't know the kids. They seem pretty cool. Perhaps they'll help me with demosophy. I was at a political conference a few months ago with our nation's best and brightest. Really, I was there, with think tank fellows and historians and political pundits and advisors and writers from our most referenced sources. In a discussion, I shared how we, the key architects, developers, innovators, business and technology people, had enabled global commerce and information and knowledge sharing via our manufacturing of core technology of telecommunications that began for me around the early 2000s and have extended ever since, and largely created the global commerce and environment of system connectedness and information availability that we find in our present advanced state of existence, and how we had a vision, and that vision was much beyond the short-sightedness that we presently find ourselves. She listened, gathered her words, and told me, quote, "You're the problem. You are the global elite." It stopped me in my tracks. I'm 53 years old. I grew up in Montana. I didn't go to Ivy League anything. I basically see out of one eye. I had a patch and blue cat-eye glasses for a few years as a kid. I don't know, it made me tough and independent. All I knew is that I wasn't here for that. I was here to live fully and freely. Nobody ever told me that I couldn't know things, I couldn't do things. So I basically became a high-performing athlete in tennis and skiing as a kid. Nobody told me I had no depth perception, and tennis was likely not the place for top performance. And then I couldn't read. I couldn't read well. Words were moving all over the page. So I listened, and I watched everything out of my one eye. The standardized tests in grade school showed that, well, I might be well suited for repetitive tasks. That sounded exhilarating at the time. Needless to say, when I brought the results home, my parents settled into the position that their crazy one-eyed daughter, well, she might aspire to little more than selling gum off the side of a vending cart. But I continued to grow. No one told me to stop, so I went to college. There, I took a few IQ tests. One said that I was similar to a monkey. And basically, while capable of dressing myself, I wouldn't aspire to much more. So I raised my hand, showed the professor. Of course, he specialized in such endeavors, and he said not to fear that there were other tests, so he gave me another, and it showed I was destined to barely perform in the modern world. But I rolled on, and I turned a 4-year degree into a 6-year party and boondoggle at Arizona State University. And then I finally got an industrial technology and engineering degree. I got a job, somehow landed it miraculously, working for some of the nation's brightest and most connected humans on the planet. For real. So many amazing human beings. They were all really good to me and provided me mentorship and insights, some that I recognized at the time and appreciated, and others that I now know were experiential gifts that have hatched their value in later years. The first leader I worked for, whose name I'll hold for now, he was not much older than me, but I respected him enormously. He was intelligent, grounded, and had experience beyond anything that I could have imagined. His existence was existential to most. One day he said to me point blank when I was making copies, "Kristen, you better stop making stupid mistakes, and if you do that, you just might have something." He told me another time to always trust my gut. He said, "Your gut always knows." Like I said before, I listen and I watch deeply. Well, I've done okay for myself thus far, by some greater force or by sheer luck. I've been called dumb, a bitch, manipulative, an embarrassment, a supervisor, manager, a leader, a director, executive director, and CEO, a fat American, a mentor, artist, philosopher, and even a mystic and a friend. I've been accused of possessing white privilege, being a technocrat, and being a part of the global elite. But you know what I am? I am done. I'm done with labels. I'm done with pure short-sightedness. I'm done with inaction and action in the wrong direction. I'm done with complacency that teeters upon complicitness. I'm done hoping that change is going to come from some higher power in government, academia, philosophy, and sciences and technology that are pointed in the wrong direction. I'm done seeing and being fed the existence of otherness that is based upon indifference and differences as significant as a gnat's ass. I am moving forward from this point and using it as my strength. I am trying like hell not to make dumb mistakes, but if I do, I'm going to continue to do everything in my power to, as quickly as possible, correct the wrongs and move forward, always forward, as one of my greatest friends who has so clearly instilled within me, forward, always forward in the direction of the greatest good. That means that I am stepping off the sideline as a person, not as a privileged elite or executive. I am operationalizing and mobilizing my force in the direction of the greatest good. I am launching, more quickly than typically prudent, a think tank, an advanced education vehicle and forum for exploring solutions to our most pressing concerns. I believe these solutions will arise at the confluence of science and technology, philosophy and government, religion and spirituality, and innate human wisdom, knowledge, and experience. And therefore, the basis is a high-performing, cross-disciplinary collaboration with the aforementioned knowledge owners. I've named this endeavor Demosophy. It means wisdom of the people. It is concerned with exploring, with absolute intention, our reality, and to understanding the root causes to our most pressing problems surrounding human fundamentals that enable our individual and national strength. It aims to literally deliver upon solutions that provide the promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for us all. It is not against capitalism. Matter of fact, I believe the United States of America, capitalism, religion, and technology are the greatest forces in the world and can resurrect our strength, and that diversity in all of its forms is the special sauce that will fuel creative innovation. Demosophy is bringing together leaders at the highest level that desire to step up and utilize their experience, knowledge, wealth, power, and influence to openly explore and purposefully operationalize action and strategies and tactics that can mobilize in the direction of the greatest good, not for some, but for many. This is not a political organization or an anarchical movement. It is not a bitch-ass drama session. We are leaders that are people that know how to do real things that have impact. We are centered on doing the right things at the right time because we know no other way. If you're one of them, who have contemplated your life and existence broadly and deeply, you can see from your tower the vast landscape of connectedness. You can walk as a person with and without your guard-gated community, enterprise, board buffers, and stand upon your own authentic truth. Then we need to talk. Perhaps you have what it takes. Perhaps we together can build our way forward in the direction of good within Demosophy, wisdom of the people. I'm here working, and I need help. I need support. I need resources. I need passion, kindness, thought that moves from thought to action in the direction of the inherent good.
Intelligence exists and it's available. Humans collectively know more than ever because we're a mature civilization. We're advanced and we're advancing. Our legacy institutions, they're failing at breakneck speeds. Change is necessary. We cannot look to our educational and academic institutions for intelligence, leadership, mentorship, and guidance or solutions. They've been in the seat of potential since the country's inception, and they've broken down, again, at breakneck speeds. Their narrowness has left them out of touch with reality. Student debt, it's at $1.6 trillion, yet they're still in business and pushing the same content. Our K-12 quality education is seismically varied in quality and content. The kids that leave my guard-gated community, well, they're going to the best-scoring schools, of course. But our teachers aren't even paid enough that allows them to live a noble life and certainly stay current with the latest information. Yet, our nation's higher education institutions are the ones that define methods, metrics, and plans. Surely our great minds in academia, they must know of these problems. And then they themselves, the academians, blur themselves into government branches, and they become men and women in relative positions within state, local, and federal power. They give us nothing but party posturing, polarization, and discord on our taxpayer dime. And we, the people, well, we flock to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Google to watch the shit show repeat itself over and over again. We, the people, we watch while shooting out from our armchairs racist barbs or petty and underdeveloped provocations and antagonistic remarks because we're too busy with Netflix binge watching or watching Game of Thrones to actually attain insights through direct research or experience to have any kind of informed position. But we do have time for a Me Too movement or coming up with some new bathroom policy. And then the politicians, they lazily saunter into legislation and Senate houses with an apparent attack upon capitalism and democracy, like it's the problem rather than the solution. Because, of course, they, with their college educations, have studied, but rarely have done. I mean, honestly, our government or leaders, you've walked minimally in the shoes of our nation's people. The race, the creed, the color, the socioeconomic diversity, the location, the diverse list goes on. And then there's realizing the deficit. You don't even calm yourself to go beyond discord, to deeply contemplate humanity's fundamentals, to truly understand what makes American strength and what will enable strength. So you aid in ripping the nation's fabric apart like it's some sort of a game. But yet you collect a paycheck and you summons money for re-election. And we, the people, we oblige, we open our wallets to buy more of the same as you rip off another Twitter blurb to make like there's some value to the people, or just simply fleeing some daily poo in the opposition of something, anything. You actually have very little direct experience about. Our media in all forms, it speaks to the nation's people like we have an IQ of a gnat's ass, and we the people accept it. Media rolls story after story that weakly and lazily reinvents information that has played itself out in the course of weeks and months and days earlier. Where are the knowledge owners? Who desires to contemplate authentic reality and act to bring greater perspective and insight to aid solutions? Our militarized police state, local, federal, you feed incarceration rates higher and higher rather than pacify, educate, mentor, and support to protect and serve. You say you desire otherwise and that you're good people with a few bad apples and invest in body cams and technology while collectively and with complicitness allowing the metastasizing cancer to spread while knowing and possessing the cure. But by choice, not pursuing the inoculation for the cure to flourish. You accelerate with the domination and entitlement mentality that brings fear, uncertainty, and doubt with the smell and distant sight of your presence, while you weed your militarized power and influence with the most vulnerable populations and march forward with ever-expanding reach. While we, the people, we watch and we hope to hell that we don't get caught in your trap that will forever change our future potentials. Our physicians and healthcare organizations, so much of our nation's health and well-being is at an all-time low, with chronic illness rising, but physicians are silent, yet busier than ever, with health and well-being relegated to health coaches and trainers. While you see a patient every 10 to 15 minutes with hope of paying your overhead, rather than rising the health of our nation. You push pills, more pills, and then you layer them with healthcare therapies to support recurring revenue streams for your practices, payers, and pharma. While your kids go to private schools and eat healthy Mediterranean diets, while full knowing that 80% of the recurrent issues are behavioral, dietary, mental, dental, but that's not your area. It's not covered by insurance. So you let it go because you're busy. Where's the Hippocratic oath to do no harm? How are you supporting real ways to affect real patient change with better outcomes? You play like moths to flames about how COVID is attacking people of color in our most valuable populations, like this virus is a culprit that exposed some new findings, while your medical assistants and nurses and the well-being they're some of the poorest health performers in the entire industry, and you lead them. What kind of leader are you? Who do you lead? How do you lead? Economists, the Treasury, economic security, financial advisors, you hoard your knowledge while counting and hiding and securing your possessions. You build the rules you skirt. You play games of musical chairs to strip away the wealth of the American middle class, who remains like hobbits claiming they have no idea what's happening or how it's happening. You're very accomplished in your ways. Why? Why can we not look to our institutions, those chartered to shore up our fundamentals in support of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Because they collectively have broken the American people's social contract. They're chartered to do a job to strengthen and fortify our nation's fabric, educationally, health, safety, security, economically. They have failed, as demonstrated by recurrent polarization and discord, and absolute fragmentation that is ripping us apart. Change can only happen by we the people stepping into our power. I personally cannot quietly sit on the sidelines inside of my Hobbit guard-gated community any longer. I cannot watch rising clashes that rip at my soul and trigger outrage. I know that any change I'm seeking must come from within me. I first must decide a level of unacceptability. And that's what I'm doing. From this day forward, I am changed. I am a leader who no longer silently and complacently, teetering on complicitness by lack of action. I'm no longer that individual. I've arrived. Let's go.